Hello, welcome back. Thank you, as always, for joining me here. We're moving on in the text of A Course in Miracles to chapter 24, section 3, which is entitled The Forgiveness of Specialness. Okay. Two very large and prominent course ideas right here, forgiveness and specialness. And of course, the forgiveness of specialness, as the title suggests. So, what we're going to be doing over the next few minutes will be handy for you no matter where you find yourself on your journey, whether you're a longtime course student, whether you're brand new, or anywhere in between. And also, if you're not a course student at all and you're just checking this out and you're wondering what this wild, weird, interesting looking thing called A Course in Miracles really is, well, the next few minutes will tell you quite a lot about what it is, what it involves, and as a practical matter, what putting it into practice and doing it will look like, because that is very important. It's where we learn the best. And yes, we learn things with the intellectual thinking mind that we so esteem and value and bow down to and worship here in the world. Yet that will only take us so far. Yes, it has value to understand these ideas intellectually, but it is nothing compared to the value of putting them into practice and actually doing the course. This is a self-study curriculum, and we learn it by doing it. By putting it into practice, taking these ideas that we're talking about, that we're learning about here, and putting them into practice in our everyday situations, in our daily lives. Something very important and very powerful then takes place. Our experience shows us, it proves to us. Want proof? Good, prove it to yourself, yeah? It proves to us, it demonstrates to us that these ideas are true. And once you start to have that experience again and again and again, you will find that you're not ever going to look at all of this wildness the same way ever again. And that is most definitely a good thing. Yeah. So wherever you appear to find yourself on the path, welcome. You're meant to be here. So forgiveness is the end of specialness. So let's back up. Forgiveness is, in fact, the end of all illusions, all of them, which, incidentally, is why partial forgiveness is impossible. In other words, we can't forgive almost everybody and reserve our own condemnation, hatred, blame, and judgment for even one single person. That's not total, it's not whole. Our forgiveness is either total or it's not at all, which of course the ego doesn't want to accept because we want to hang on to our little secret disdains and maybe not so secret, but our little hatreds of this political party or this group of people or this particular person. Yeah, that's specialness. Specialness is a sense, and it's always false, of separation, of wanting to be separate and thinking that we're a separate individual, which we've all been conditioned to think. We've all been conditioned to think we're a separate individual. And we also have limited ourselves even further by thinking we're encased in something that looks like this. Not even, not even. Who you really are is completely unlimited, and you do know this. Doesn't mean that you have to jump for joy upon hearing it. In fact, you're welcome to deny it. You're welcome to deny anything this course says. Of course you are, right? Why wouldn't you be? We can deny it the rest of this lifetime if we want to. Yet you're here because you've been doing something very important, and it does not matter at all whether you were consciously aware that you were doing it. That makes no difference. You've been answering the call of our inner teacher, the Holy Spirit. Call it whatever you want to call it. It is the appropriate pronoun. It goes by the he, him masculine pronoun here in A Course in Miracles, simply as a matter of convention. It's not a person, it's part of our mind, rather. And we have the opportunity and the choice to listen to it instead of listening to the ego, this constant yammering, bleating voice of separation, judgment, confusion, guilt, and all that stuff. You don't have to continue to choose to listen to it, and whether you do or don't, it's entirely your choice. It is, it's your choice. We each have the opportunity to choose right now. We have the opportunity to choose again right now. It's ongoing in the present moment, and you are here because you've been listening to this call, which goes out to all of us. It's universal. So for that, I thank you. You've come much farther than you may imagine. And hopefully you can imagine quite a lot. You've come farther than that, which hopefully can serve as some sort of encouragement. Specialness is this desire to be an ego, this wish to be separate from God, which we're not, and you know that. You do, you know that. We're not separate from God. If you've ever wondered, as I did as a kid in a fundamentalist Christian Sunday school, maybe some of you can relate to that. Yeah. Part of the beauty of A Course in Miracles is it's universal in theme and application, meaning it doesn't make any difference what your background is, whether it was in the traditional world religions or something else or nothing at all. Makes no difference. It makes absolutely no difference. In my own background, I sat through many a Sunday school lesson in the United States, fundamentalist, meaning our building is better than your building. In fact, our building is not only better than your building, it's the only building. And your building that meets on a different day, we own the truth and you don't. That kind of line of thinking, which of course we see all the time in the world. As course students, that is nothing more than an opportunity for us to forgive and nothing less. But as I sat through these, I would often question why perfect love, i.e., God, would even take a look at all of this suffering. I found myself asking, how could perfect love judge and be jealous? Jealous? Of whom? I found myself asking these questions, and when I vocalized these questions, let's simply say that the leaders did the best that they could. Did it satisfy me? No, not at all. So as I sat there dreaming of other things, thinking about a football match or pizza or the homework that I had to do that I would have rather been doing, or the hike that I would rather have been taking in place of sitting through this, lesson. I mean, I had lots of thoughts that had nothing to do with where I found myself because I just couldn't make it all add up. Perfect love does not condemn. How can it? Perfect love does not set us up for suffering on a wobbling, spinning ball of rock in which nothing lasts, especially this little deal. He didn't create this. The Course is very explicit that God did not make this world. So, yeah, I mean, it's not like he molded us from clay or from corn or whatever our creation myths may be here in the world, depending on the part of the world that we grew up in, etc. And didn't take 6 calendar days and then play golf on the seventh. Perfect love does not separate. It is whole, whole, total, complete. It knows no opposites. It simply is the only reality. God is the only reality. We're not separate from God as the creation of God, God being the creator. We're the created, i.e., the Son of God, singular, and all encompassing. This term does not refer to only the historical Jesus, it's all of us as one. We've never left our source, capital S. That's where we are. It's who and what we are, because like extends like, love extends love only. Love, God extends himself. You've always known that. There. Now it's been said again. You'll hear it again should you tune in to this video series and others, I'm certain. So the more we gain exposure to these ideas that point us to truth, the better. The more likely we are to think about them and process it however you want to process it, as long as you're listening to the voice of the Holy Spirit and calling on it for help, for guidance, for assistance, for clarification, for support, that. The more exposure we gain to these ideas, the more likely we are to put them into practice. And like we just said, that's where the real learning takes place. When our experience proves these ideas to us unequivocally. All right. So forgiveness is the end of all illusions. When we forgive, truly, it's the end of all illusions. Again, it's why partial forgiveness is impossible. Specialness, therefore, this sense of separation is impossible. There is no separation of any kind at all. It's a complete illusion, and we can forgive it in our mind right now, in whatever form it appears to come up. Forgive it. Look right past it. It is nothing, like a passing cloud. It is simply a veneer. It's nothing. So here, as we run around appearing to be human beings, appearing to be, being the highly operative term right there. As we do this, we're invited to give love, wholly, truly. We're invited to forgive. Here's a miraculous idea. Here's where the miracle is. To give and to receive are one in truth. That's a famous line from A Course in Miracles. Giving forgiveness is exactly the same as receiving it. Here in the world, when we give an object away, say money, we no longer have that money. Someone else has that money. So that's what we think of giving. When you give, you're out, to put it rather bluntly. This course, which is all about the mind, says the exact opposite. To give and to receive are one in truth. We give our forgiveness, we give love, and we receive it simultaneously, instantaneously as one. So if we don't forgive totally, we're not forgiving ourselves totally. We're not receiving total forgiveness because we're not giving it. Give, receive, same. One in truth. So when we forgive truly and totally, we receive true forgiveness. From whom? From ourselves. It certainly will appear to us that we're forgiving another person or another group of people or an event or anything that disturbs our peace of mind. I mean, literally, anything that is not 100% wholly joyous is an opportunity for us to forgive. And we're invited to pay attention to those and bring our awareness to these disturbances, which, when we really think about it over the course of a day, are many, many. And isn't it, it is kind of funny, actually. It's funny, not funny, but we have to have a sense of humor on the path. It's a very valuable tool. Very valuable indeed, because it is kind of funny to think that we're thrown off kilter, absolutely off kilter by the slightest thing, by a slight change in temperature. How do we let that ruin our day? If we place a phone call and somebody doesn't pick up or they don't respond immediately to our text, why do we let that ruin our day? A passing cloud that obscures our sunlight for 15 seconds. I mean, why are we so badly thrown off kilter by all of this stuff going on? We don't have to be. We don't have to see it the same. See, when we think we're an individual, we're putting our faith in nothing. There is no separation of any kind. There's no ego. There's no ego. And yeah, we talk about it for teaching and learning purposes as though it's a thing. It's nothing, actually. It's nothing. And of course, until we come to expose ourselves to this idea over and over again and to put it into practice by truly forgiving, it may be of great help to you to think of the ego as it's a thing. When we talk about it like it is, it's nothing. It has never existed because there has never been any separation of any kind. There is not now. Therefore, there has never been because there is no such thing as time either. We made all that up. We have the present moment, the eternal now. So that's beyond time, beyond the past. So we didn't make up the ego. It's a dream, which we could wake up from. That's why we call enlightenment awakening, by the way. We're waking up from this dream of separation. It is an illusion only. We're learning moment by moment, one act of true forgiveness at a time, to set this illusion aside. So When we put our faith in our individualism, in our specialness, we're putting our faith in nothing. We're resting on nothing, so no wonder a passing cloud disturbs us. When you think about it, we're putting our faith in nothing, so everything disturbs us because we're disturbed. Hmm. Yet here we all are with the opportunity to choose to see things differently. We can choose to follow a different teacher. We can choose to follow what I refer to as our inner teacher, the Holy Spirit, with Jesus, same, right? You may call this whatever you want to call it. Really, you may. We have the opportunity to follow our inner teacher instead of the ego. The Holy Spirit's known by many names, even right here in A Course in Miracles. And probably the most common term is the voice for God. The Holy Spirit speaks for God, speaks for truth, always and truly. We have only to listen. That's the question for each of us is, are we willing to listen right now? How far are we willing to allow ourselves to be led today? And then tomorrow, when we get up, same thing. How far are we willing to allow ourselves to be led? And we find that when we put our faith in nothing, it's very unforgiving. It's exacting and it's never satisfied. We're all on the spiritual path because we've grown tired of that. And it doesn't matter, again, whether you've looked at it in exactly this way or not. Really doesn't make any difference how you've arrived at this place. The point is you're here right now, isn't it? I mean, that's the point. We just talked about time being an illusion. What past? Who cares? Who cares if you behaved badly 15 seconds ago? It is gone. Forgive it. If you're feeling guilty, forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. There has never been any separation of any kind. It is, in fact, impossible. Now, these ideas can blow our mind. You may be having that experience right now, or now, if you've been doing this for a while, certainly you have had some mind-boggling, shifting, bending, blowing experiences, right? It can blow our minds, right? We're not conditioned to think of anything this way, yet here you are. And we can all ask ourselves, and I invite you to ask yourself, if I run off and do more of the same, is anything really going to change? That's what we do when we think we're individuals and put our faith in nothing. In other words, we put our faith in illusions. We exchange one illusion for another in the attempt to find what we're really looking for, what we really want, the peace of God. We seek this in our relationships. And when one doesn't satisfy us, we exchange it for another. And I'm not talking about just our intimate personal relationships. I mean, our jobs, I mean, our possessions, our belongings, things like that. We spend all of our time focusing on illusions. And this is an invitation to overlook them. Forgive. Go past them directly with the assistance of the Holy Spirit, who doesn't look at the illusions at all. Sees truly, goes right past them. Go right past them. You have a guide, the most powerful guide you could possibly hope to have, who knows all of the answers. Are you willing to listen to them? That's the question. So, if you're newer to this material, it's bound to raise lots and lots of questions, as it should, as it well should, because what is spirituality, after all, but a deep practice of self-inquiry? So, to the extent that you have questions, you're more than welcome to put them here in the comment thread on YouTube. I do check these with some frequency, so I will certainly see the comments and I will respond to them. Even if you just wish to pop in and say hello, I'd love to hear from you. This is an international community, which is very cool. And I very much appreciate your taking the time out of your busy day, your busy evening, wherever it is that you happen to find yourself, to pay attention to the message of the Holy Spirit. That's who's been talking to you. This is a pixelated image on your screen. As I'm fond of saying, there's nothing special about it at all, right? What specialness? Yeah. So please go ahead and subscribe to, if you have not already. That's the prompt, this icon right here in the corner of your screen. Click that, hover over that, and you'll be invited to join us. Several videos appear each week, partly because spirituality is not going anywhere. There's always something for us to talk about. And you deserve nothing less than being pointed to truth directly. And it's up to you to choose it and to, as we say, walk the path. We're really not going anywhere because what we're doing is we're removing a veil. We're taking down a wall that we ourselves have built between what we deem to be ourselves, which is not who we really are, and the experience of truth. We've attempted to wall ourselves off in this thing, but it's impossible, as we all know. So I invite you to, well, put these ideas into practice and please ask questions if you have them. And I will talk to you all very soon. Thank you once again for joining me.